An hour passes before we're dealt pocket tens on the button. We've lost a good chunk what we were up after having to pay multiple people who've won with 7 deuce, losing some bomb pots and whiffing flops and 3-bet pots. Joe Tean is in the hijack. He raises to 150. I consider 3-betting, but I don't really want to get 4-bet. In the back of my mind is this hand that just took place when Joe, the Maniac Tean, 6-bet jammed ace-10 offsuit for over $20,000. He got called by pocket jacks, they ran it twice, and they chopped. It was one of the craziest things I've seen in a long time. I call to set mine against Joe, or maybe even have another overpair to the board. The big blind also calls. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It comes ace-king-10 with 2 clubs. We've got kind of a sneaky bottom set on a board that ordinarily won't be great for us, except we can sometimes have Broadway and ace-10 combos. The big blind checks. Joe knows that this flop favors his range more than anyone else's because he can have Broadway as well as all the sets, ace-king, and ace-10. Joe bets 700. Because the hijack has such a range advantage, we're not really supposed to be raising with anything, including the rare times when we have sets or straights. I'm having a difficult time not raising though. I can't do it when we're going to have the best hand most of the time and there are lots of draws present with multiple opponents. I raised to 2400. Perhaps we can get this in good against ace-king or the ace-high flush draw. Joe's already shown a propensity to gamble. The big blind folds. The hijack is well aware that this is a flop that favors him. He might be willing to make a big bluff attempt to capitalize on that, but he can also have hands that have us in terrible shape, like sets of aces or kings. The opponent grabs chips, and he re-raises to 9,000. I'm annoyed at myself for making the pot bigger because now I'm in a pretty tough spot. Folding seems ridiculous, but this board isn't likely to get better for us. Even if we make a boat, we could be drawing near dead if an ace or king pairs. Against certain opponents, I might just give up with bottom set after getting 3-bet on this flop. Against Joe, I'm not able to do that. I jam for 20,000 effective. There's no pause to think about it. Joe immediately grabs chips and doesn't even say call. He just puts them in and asks,
once or twice.
What do you have, Joe? Get straight?
Yeah.
It's up to you. I have the set. Okay.
Once or twice? Twice.
Twice is good.
Yeah.
Joe has queen jack offsuit for the nuts, but after all the action, I already figured we were behind in one way or another. I'm somewhat relieved that we have plenty of outs. We just need the board to pair. We're running it twice in a pot over $40,000. This is a very important hand to win, and I'm going to need your help. On the count of 3, hit the like button for extra run good. Ready? 1, 2, wait. I just got a text. Hold on. Let me respond quickly. I'm in the middle of a $40,000 pot. Let me text you back in a minute. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. The turn is the ace of hearts. Right away, we have the opponent dead on the first board to lock up half the pot. We're free rolling from this point on. We just need the board to pair one more time. Although the river on this one doesn't matter anymore, we see it anyway. The dealer puts out another 10 to give us quads for no reason. You guys smashed the like button so hard that we got there twice. This is an extremely rare instance when hitting quads is bad because we burn one of our outs for the next board.
Quads, that's terrible.
He is too.
Jesus, come on.
The turn on the second run out is the deuce of hearts. It doesn't help us improve, and there aren't a lot of cards that will allow us to scoop anymore. They're just 2 aces, 3 kings, and 3 deuces. The river is the queen of clubs. We end up chopping it up. I'm not all that happy with myself for getting a pile in while we were behind, but the deck bails us out. Thankfully, we weren't up against a higher set. Joe's reputation for being a wild man almost allowed him to stack me. It's time for another bomb pot. Every player puts in $100 each. We're playing 7-handed at the moment. If we win, we'll have gotten all the way out of the $6,400 hole that we were in. We look down at pocket queens in the big blind. It's normally one of the worst times to pick up a premium pocket pair because, like I said earlier, one pair of hands rarely win at showdown in bomb pots when there are so many opponents, so you typically have to improve to 2 pair or better. And we do. The dealer puts out queen, queen, 9 rainbow. We flop quads with 700 in the middle and not a damn worry in the world. I've never had quads in a bomb pot before, certainly not during a high stakes session. The only concern of mine is how are we possibly going to get paid when we've got everything. Small blind checks. There's no way that we'll be betting when I'm second to act and all the queens are accounted for. I check, hoping someone will get out of line. No one bites, it checks around. The turn is the 8 of spades, at least putting a flush draw on the board and completing a possible straight. The small blind checks. I'm a patient guy. I can't let this check through again though. I make a small bet of 200 to get things going. I wouldn't be too surprised if this folds around. I actually think it's the most likely outcome. All hope isn't lost. Rob takes 2 black chips from his stack and calls in middle position. The hijack and cutoff fold. The button, who we've tangled with multiple times, is considering his options. I told you earlier he makes aggressive plays at strange times. This would be amazing if he raised here. I don't want to do anything that might tip him off that we've got the absolute nuts. Still, in my head I'm thinking, please do something wild. He comes through and raises to 1100. This seems like a bluff since we've got all the queens. I don't know if he'd raise with a straight on this board, or maybe he has 9s full or 8s full. The small blind folds. I was originally thinking that I may not get any customers with my $200 bet. Now that I've gotten called and then raised, I'm thinking about the best way to stack 1 or maybe even 2 players. There's no reason to risk scaring anyone off. We don't need to re-raise for protection. I flat the 1100. Rob can't justify calling for 900 more. He folds. It's down to heads up with a guy who I know is capable of taking huge risks if he sees an opportunity to win a pot. It's the perfect setup. The river is the 7 of clubs. It doesn't change much since Jack 10 was already a straight. The button has exactly 5,000 left in his stack. We have him covered. The pot is only 3,100, so it could be tough to get everything. I don't want to risk this checking through since it's highly likely that the opponent is bluffing and may shut down after I called his raise on the turn with another player behind me. I put out a fake blocker bet of 600 to appear as if I'm weak and trying to get to showdown cheaply. I've already seen multiple times today, including earlier in this hand, that the opponent has no aversion to raising. We just need him to take the bait here. If he has air like a missed flush draw, he may make a last-ditch effort to try and steal the pot after seeing a weak-looking bet. If he has a really strong hand like a full house, or possibly even a straight, he'll probably think that I have trick queens and he can raise for value. Almost no matter what he has, he'll feel some inclination to make it more. He takes the black chips that he's shuffling in his hand, adds it to a much larger stack of black chips, and then raises to 2,600. I don't play these stakes that often. It's tough to flop quads, and even more rare to get raised twice in the same hand while having the absolute nuts. This is an unbelievable feeling. Let's just take a second to enjoy this and hit the like and subscribe buttons. We've made the maximum. Yes, the button still has another 2,400 in his stack, but there's no way that he can call a shove even if he has pocket 9s for what we know is the second nuts, because it's too likely that I'll have queen 9, queen 8, or queen 7 for a better full house, and I wouldn't bluff or re-raise with anything worse. Still, we have to go for it. I put in the inevitable all-in re-raise for 5,000 effective. The button can't believe it. He must not have been raising as a bluff on the river because he doesn't snap fold. I get the sense that he knows he's beat. He's got to see it though. He tosses in a calling chip. We've officially made the most that we could possibly make. We never find out what the opponent had. It must have been either Jack 10, pocket 9s, or pocket 8s. They're all pretty similar in this instance because they don't beat the hands that I'm representing. It's an insane $13,000 pot that comes our way. Earlier on, it seemed like I was destined to lose every chip that I had in front of me. I was stuck several $1,000s and I favored to be down 10,000. We got some magic in 2 separate hands with pocket queens to now be up 6,000 on the session. The day is completely turned around. It isn't over either. The very next hand, we're dealt pocket 8s on the button. The nemesis who shoved on us the previous 2 hands that we've gone over completely disregards my advice to run and hide. He limps in from under the gun +1. The cutoff raises to 40. I call. The action's on the big blind who slow rolled me earlier. We've already determined that he doesn't like the amount 40. He does what he wants.
Benny.
No, we could have.
It's 4 of those.
It's 40.
4 of those. Really? 4. Easy, please. Easy. Please. Yeah, boy.
We've got quite the cast of characters here. I feel like we're in poker's version of SNL's Jeopardy, and the big blind is Sean Connery. Under the gun +1 calls, so both players that I have to get revenge on are in there. We're going 4 ways to the flop in position. The big blind emphatically checks dark. The dealer puts out king 8-6 with 2 clubs. We flop middle set in a multi-way pot. Under the gun +1 checks. Cutoff checks. This is such a great situation. I bet 110. The big blind gets the chip denominations wrong, but ultimately gets the right amount out there, and he does it just for me.
1 and 10. just for the blue eyes.
The other player that I need to crush, min raises to 220, is the second hand in a row that he's raised me on the flop, and the third time in the last 15 minutes. The cutoff folds. I'm going to try and get as much money in now as possible. I re-raised to 500. The big blind isn't afraid. He makes the call. Under the gun +1 only has 640 total, yet he calls as well and leaves himself with 140 behind. This is already a massive pot. There are so many cards that I won't be happy to see. The 8 of hearts is not one of them. We drill quads with piles of money in the middle. Both players are likely drawing dead. The big blind checks. Under the gun +1 jams for his remaining 140. This actually puts me in kind of a weird spot. I want to extract as much money as I can out of the big blind since he has about 1350 in his stack, but I don't want to raise so much that he folds. In a multi-way pot, after I 3-bet on the flop and put in a raise on the turn when someone has already shoved, my line is going to look a lot like I have a boat. So I'd expect the big blind to fold to larger sizings, knowing that if he has ace-5 of clubs, for instance, that he likely won't have any outs. I grab my yellow bird to release it back in the wild where it belongs, but I only bet 500 of it to milk him, build up a side pot, and entice a call or potentially a bluff if the big blind decides a trip 8s is a good hand for him to rep. The opponent slides in a call. There's a significant side pot that takes some time for the dealer to sort out. I suppose there's a tiny chance that the big blind has a king. There's a much better chance that he has clubs. I'm rooting for one on the river. The dealer puts out the 7 of hearts. The entire pot is going to us eventually. It's just a matter of whether or not the rest of the big blind stack will be included in it. He checks. I've only got one move that makes sense. I shove for 850 effective. The big blind must have had a draw. He almost immediately folds. We turn over the quads. I'm excited to show everybody and win the pot, especially since things haven't been going particularly well for me over the previous 10 sessions or so. Looks like we're back to moving in the right direction, and the other players at the table are very cool about it.
You got 2 pairs, 8 and 8, 2 pairs. That's damn good hand. I like that hand.
The yellow bird is returned to us, and the rest of the chips in the middle follow soon after. The sweet old man didn't run and hide. My patience to wait for a better spot pays off. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but we're up about 2,500 on the session. Next, we're dealt 10-7 suited in the small blind. The button raises to 300. Since the big blind rarely 3-bets and the small blind is actually the same amount as the big blind, I call for 200 more, basically treating it as if I'm closing the action. The big blind calls as well. 3 of us are seeing the flop. We're out of position. It comes queen 10-10. We flop trips. I check. The big blind checks. The button bets 500. There's not much for us to be afraid of. We want to keep the opponent's bluffs in. I call. The big blind folds. We're down to heads up. The turn is the 10 of spades, giving us quads. This has gotten better and better. I check. We'd love to see another bullet fired from the button, but he checks back. He's either got nothing or he thinks he's slow playing a made hand. The river is the 7 of clubs, giving us another pair just in case our quads wasn't good enough. We probably can't get called by anything except in the rare instances our opponent was attempting to play tricky with a queen or overpair. I try to target those hands with an overbet of 3,000. The opponent folds before I get my bet out there. He didn't have anything at all. We don't show our quads. Once more we make a big hand, but once more our opponent doesn't have a hand that he's willing to put in lots of money with. Next we look down at ace-queen suited under the gun +1, I raise to 125. We're not in a particularly great game. There's only one recreational player at the table. He calls in the hijack. We're heads up out of position against him. The flop comes queen, queen 6 rainbow. We've got trips and nothing to worry about. I check to set the trap for the in-position player. He likes to take stabs as bluffs. He comes through for us in this instance with a bet of 150. If he happens to have trips, we might be able to stack him by check raising and building up the pot from the start. It's just too unlikely that he has the case queen. I call to keep the opponent's bluffs in. The turn is the jack of hearts. It's not a great turn because queen jack now takes the lead against us, which is the type of hand that the hijack might have called our bet with pre-flop and then bet for value with on the flop. If he has some other small or medium pocket pair, he won't like seeing another overcard come out either, so it could be tougher for us to make additional money when we're ahead with our trips. I check. The hijack quickly goes with a check back. It's now incredibly unlikely that we're beat. There's a better chance that the hijack's drawing dead. The river is the queen of hearts, giving us quad quiggities. We already would have hit a straight flush on the river not long ago. Now we drill another monster hand. It's going to be tough to get paid in this spot knowing that we have everything and the opponent checks back turn. The one thing we have going for us is that I doubt the hijack will put us on quads. I make nearly a pot-sized bet of 600 to go for value. There's no hasty decision from the hijack. He's going to take his time on this one. The opponent told me earlier that he watches the vlog. A call here would all but guarantee that he's going to make the video. After about 30 seconds, The opponent calls.
Quads.
Turn the camera over. Guess I made the blow.
Look at that stupid smile on his face, too. He has a little smirk. You should listen to one of these, you know. They make quads and a straight flip.
Guess I made it.
And he had some idiot bluff into it.
It's been a great day.